My dear child, before you ever saw these words, before you opened your eyes today, before your heart cried out again for the change you need so badly, a decision had already been made about you, a ruling was released in heaven, movement began, commands were given, barriers started breaking, and forces that stood in your way were already being pushed back, even before you knew this moment would arrive. Because right now something is shifting around your life and the answer you are waiting for is closer than you believe, not closer than you hope but closer than you think, because in your mind it feels far away and delayed and impossible, yet in truth it is already moving, already advancing, already breaking through what once blocked it, and the waiting you endured was never wasted, not a single tear, not a single night, not a single silent cry, because I saw you when no one else did, when you cried alone, when you forced a smile, when you kept going even though you felt empty, when you prayed and wondered if anyone was listening. Every word mattered, every tear counted, and none of it was ignored. Even when lies told you I was distant or tired of hearing you ask, those lies were meant to make you stop believing, but I heard everything and I have been working in ways you could not see, arranging, aligning, preparing, even while you were exhausted, even when you almost gave up. And the moments you thought meant failure were not weakness but proof you were carrying something heavy and still standing, because my timing is not careless or cruel. The delay was part of the preparation, not rejection, and what I am bringing into your life is bigger than you realize, greater than the single thing you asked for, because while you were waiting I was also strengthening you, teaching you to trust when you could not see, building a faith that will carry you through the rest of your life, and this season was not punishment or neglect but positioning. Even when voices told you the wait was your fault or that you were not good enough, that was never the truth, because my grace is not earned and my love is not conditional. I chose you long before you were perfect and I have not changed my mind, and shame has no right to keep you from me because when I forgive I also remove the record, and if I no longer hold it then you do not need to either, so stop comparing your journey to others, stop measuring my love by someone else's timing, because I do not forget my children. And I do not play favorites. Your path is different because your purpose is different, and what I am preparing for you is designed specifically for who you are and where you are going, and it will arrive at the exact right moment in the exact right way, and when it does you will know it could only have come from me, because right now you are closer than you have ever been, even if it does not feel like it, even if you have been disappointed before. This time is different. Movement is real. Resistance is strong because the impact will be great, and the enemy wants you to quit before you see it. But you will not quit, because deep inside there is a quiet knowing, a gentle whisper telling you to hold on, and that whisper has carried you this far, brought you here, and it is my voice reminding you that what I promised is true, that the breakthrough is coming, that the waiting is ending, and that everything you endured is about to make sense. And as this unfolding continues I want you to stay aware of the quiet changes happening inside you, because some of the greatest miracles do not announce themselves loudly, they settle gently, they reshape habits, they soften reactions, they steady emotions, and one day you realize you are responding differently than you once did, calmer where you were anxious, hopeful where you were guarded, patient where you were rushed. And this is proof that healing is not just coming to you but living in you. And I know there are still moments when old fears try to rise, when memories try to replay, when your mind tries to prepare for pain that has not arrived, but I want you to interrupt those thoughts with truth, because the past does not get to predict your future anymore. And survival patterns that once kept you safe do not get to control your decisions now, because you are no longer trapped in the same season, you are moving forward even if it feels slow. And slow progress is still progress, and I want you to stop measuring your life by dramatic changes and start honoring steady growth, because steady growth builds strength that lasts, and you are becoming someone who can hold joy without fear of losing it, someone who can love without constantly bracing for disappointment, someone who can dream again without apologizing for hope, and this is not naive, this is courageous, because hope after pain is one of the bravest choices a heart can make, and I want you to keep choosing it, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels unfamiliar, because comfort will come with practice, and peace will deepen as you trust me more. And I also want you to understand that not everyone will understand this version of you. Some people will miss the version that overgave, over-explained, and overextended, but that version was surviving, not thriving, and you are no longer called to bleed to prove your love. You are no longer required to stay small to make others comfortable, and you are not obligated to revisit places that drained you just because they are familiar, and releasing those expectations may feel lonely at first, but it will make space for healthier connections, for relationships built on mutual respect rather than obligation, and I will bring people into your life who recognize your value without needing you to prove it, who celebrate your growth instead of competing with it, who walk with you instead of pulling from you, and until those connections fully form, I want you to remember that you are never truly alone, because I am closer than your breath, guiding you even when you cannot sense it, and there will be days ahead when gratitude overflows naturally, when you catch yourself smiling for no reason, when peace feels normal instead of rare, and in those moments do not rush past them, pause, acknowledge them, let your heart register that this is part of the promise too, because joy is not something you have to wait for later. It is something you are allowed to experience now, in pieces, in moments, in small confirmations that life is changing, and even when challenges appear, and they will not undo what has been built, because resilience now lives inside you, and you will respond instead of react, you will pray instead of panic, you will pause instead of spiral, and this does not mean you will never feel tired or overwhelmed. It means you will know where to go when you do, and you will return to me instead of running from me, and that connection will be your greatest strength. And as you move forward, I want you to stay open, not guarded, discerning but not closed, hopeful but grounded, because what I am doing next will require trust, and trust grows when you keep choosing honesty over hiding, faith over fear, and patience over pressure, and I am proud of you for staying, for trying again, for believing even when belief hurt, and there will come a day when you look back on this chapter not with pain but with gratitude, because you will see clearly how every step mattered, how every delay shaped you, how every tear watered something beautiful, and you will know without doubt that you were never abandoned, never overlooked, never forgotten, and that the life you are living then was born from the faith you are choosing now, and until that day fully arrives, keep walking, keep trusting, keep breathing, because you are exactly where you need to be, and what is coming is still unfolding, still aligning, still moving toward you, and nothing meant for you will miss you, and nothing you were meant to outgrow will follow you, because I am leading you forward, gently, faithfully, completely, and I will continue to do so every step of the way. And as you keep walking forward, I want you to understand that this journey is not only changing your circumstances but reshaping the way you see yourself and the world around you, because there was a time when your confidence depended on outcomes and your peace depended on answers, but now you are learning to stand even when answers are slow and outcomes are unclear, and this inner shift is one of the greatest gifts you will ever receive. Because storms will come again in life, challenges will rise in new forms, but you will no longer crumble the way you once did, because you have learned how to stay grounded when everything shakes, and I know you sometimes wish the process had been easier, shorter, less painful, but ease would not have produced this depth, comfort would not have built this endurance, and quick answers would not have grown this kind of faith, and I want you to stop apologizing to yourself for needing time, stop criticizing your pace, stop judging your journey by how fast others seem to move, because growth is not a race and healing is not linear, and you have been doing better than you realize, even on the days you felt like you were barely surviving, because surviving when you wanted to quit is still progress, choosing to wake up again is still courage, choosing to believe again is still victory, and I want you to be gentle with yourself as you step into this next season, because strength does not require harshness and faith does not require punishment, and you do not need to harden your heart to protect it anymore, because I am guarding what is precious to you, and I am teaching you how to trust without losing yourself, how to love without fear, how to hope without anxiety, and there will be moments ahead when joy surprises you, when laughter feels natural again, when dreams return that you thought were buried forever, and in those moments you may feel emotional, even overwhelmed, because part of you still remembers the pain, still remembers the nights you cried and wondered if this day would ever come. And that is okay, let those emotions rise, let them pass, because they are proof of how far you have come, not signs of weakness, and I also want you to know that there will be moments when fear tries to whisper again, telling you that this peace will not last, that this progress is temporary, that you should guard yourself by expecting the worst, but that voice is not wisdom. It is residue from survival mode, and you do not need it anymore, because I am not bringing you this far to abandon you now. I am not opening doors to shut them suddenly, and I am not restoring you just to wound you again, and when uncertainty appears I want you to return to what you know, not what you fear, to truth not assumption, to my promises not past disappointments, because fear speaks in questions but faith rests in assurance, and assurance is what I am growing inside you now, a quiet knowing that you are held, guided, and loved regardless of what happens next, and this assurance will shape your decisions, your relationships, your dreams, and the way you carry responsibility, because you will no longer move from panic or pressure but from peace and purpose, and you will notice that some things no longer attract you the way they used to, some paths no longer feel right, some voices no longer influence you, and this is not loss, it is alignment, because clarity often feels like subtraction before it feels like expansion, and I am removing what no longer serves where you are going, not to punish you but to protect you, and there will be times when you look around and realize how much has changed, not just outside of you but within you, and you may even miss the old version of yourself at times, the one who dreamed without scars, the one who trusted without hesitation, but you will also see that this version of you carries wisdom, strength, compassion, and discernment that the old version could not. And that does not mean innocence was lost, it means maturity was gained, and this maturity will allow you to build things that last, relationships that are healthy, dreams that are sustainable, and a life that is rooted rather than reactive. And as the days unfold, I want you to keep listening, not for loud signs but for gentle direction, because I often guide through peace rather than pressure, through clarity rather than chaos, and if something costs you your peace, pause and bring it to me. Because I am not rushing you, I am leading you, and you will not miss what is meant for you by moving slowly, and you will not gain what is not meant for you by forcing it, and trust will become your rhythm, not striving, and rest will become your strength, not exhaustion, and this shift will confuse some people around you, because they are used to the version of you that overextends, overexplains, and overgives. But you do not need to prove yourself anymore, and boundaries will become acts of obedience, not selfishness, and saying no will protect the yes I am calling you into. And I want you to remember that this new chapter does not require perfection, it requires presence, it requires honesty, it requires staying connected to me even when things go well, because prosperity can distract just as much as pain, and I want your heart anchored, not drifting, grateful but grounded, confident but humble, and when mistakes happen, because they will, do not spiral into shame, return quickly. Learn gently, and keep moving, because growth does not mean never falling. It means knowing how to rise without losing hope, and I will continue to walk with you through every step, celebrating your progress, correcting you in love, strengthening you when you feel unsure, and reminding you of who you are when the world tries to define you by results. And I promise you this, the days ahead will not be empty, they will be meaningful, they will carry purpose, connection, and moments of beauty you did not expect, and even when challenges appear, they will no longer define you, because you are no longer the same person who entered the waiting. You are wiser now, stronger now, and more aware of my presence than ever before, and as you continue forward, let gratitude guide you, let trust anchor you, let hope lift you, and let love shape you, because you are not walking into uncertainty, you are walking into fulfillment, and what once felt like a distant promise is becoming your lived reality, one step at a time. And as this beginning continues to unfold, I want you to slow your heart and really take in what I am saying to you, because what is ahead will require a deeper trust than you have ever known, not a loud faith but a steady one, not an emotional belief but a rooted confidence, and this is why the stretching felt so intense, why the silence felt so long, why the lessons felt repetitive, because I was not only answering a prayer, I was preparing a vessel, and there were parts of you that needed healing before promotion, parts of you that needed strengthening before elevation, parts of you that needed truth before increase, and I know you sometimes felt like you were going in circles, revisiting the same struggles, facing the same fears, learning the same lessons again and again, but that was not stagnation, that was refinement, because some lessons cannot be rushed and some strength can only be built through repetition. And now you are standing on ground that is firmer than you realize, carrying wisdom you did not have before, discernment you did not ask for but desperately needed, and a depth that will protect you when success arrives, because what I am bringing into your life will attract attention, opportunities, voices, and influence, and if your identity had not been settled in the waiting, the blessing could have shaken you instead of strengthening you, but now you know who you are even when nothing is happening, now you know your worth even when doors are closed, now you know my voice even when everything else is silent, and that is why this next season will not steal your peace, because your peace is no longer tied to outcomes but anchored in me, and I want you to understand that the pressure you felt was not meant to crush you but to clarify you. It revealed what truly mattered, who truly mattered, what you could let go of and what you needed to hold on to, and it stripped away expectations that were never meant to define you, and even though it hurt, it also freed you, because you are no longer chasing approval, no longer trying to prove your value, no longer begging for validation from places that could never sustain you, and this freedom is part of the miracle, even if you did not recognize it as one, because a healed heart can carry blessings without fear, without anxiety, without self-destruction, and I know there were moments when you felt tired of being strong, tired of being patient, tired of being the one who keeps believing, but strength does not always look like standing tall. Sometimes it looks like choosing not to quit even when you are crawling forward, and that kind of strength is rare, it is powerful, and it does not go unnoticed, and I want you to know that even now. Even as you read this, things are aligning in ways you cannot yet see, conversations are happening without your name being spoken yet, paths are opening before you step onto them. Answers are being released that will reach you at the perfect moment, and you do not need to chase them or force them or stress about missing them, because what is meant for you cannot pass you by, and I am guiding you even when you feel unsure, redirecting you even when you feel lost, protecting you even when you feel exposed, and there will soon be moments when you look back and realize that what felt like rejection was actually redirection, what felt like delay was actually protection, what felt like loss was actually clearing space for something better, and your heart will finally rest in the truth that I was never against you, never ignoring you, never punishing you, but always leading you, even through the valley, even through confusion, even through pain, and I need you to stop bracing yourself for disappointment, stop expecting things to fall apart just because they once did, because that season is ending and carrying old expectations into a new chapter will only steal the joy I want to give you, and joy is coming, not loud at first, not overwhelming, but steady and real, the kind that settles into your soul and stays, the kind that does not disappear when circumstances change, because it is rooted in trust, and you will notice yourself breathing easier, sleeping deeper, smiling without forcing it, hoping without fear, and you may even feel strange at first because peace can feel unfamiliar when you have lived in survival mode for so long, but let yourself receive it. You do not need to earn rest, you do not need to justify peace, you do not need to apologize for joy, because it is a gift, and you are allowed to receive it, and as doors begin to open I want you to walk through them with humility, remembering where you came from, remembering who carried you, remembering that everything you have is by grace, not by effort alone, and this remembrance will keep your heart soft and your spirit teachable, and you will become someone others feel safe around, someone who understands pain without becoming bitter, someone who offers hope without judgment, and your life will speak louder than your words ever could, because you have been shaped by the fire but not destroyed by it, refined by the waiting but not hardened by it, and this is why your story will matter, why your voice will carry weight, why your testimony will heal others, because you did not give up, and now I am asking you to step forward without fear, to trust without overthinking, to move without needing every detail, because clarity will come as you walk, strength will rise as you obey, and confirmation will follow faith, and even when you feel unsure you are not unqualified, even when you feel small you are not overlooked, even when you feel weak you are not alone, because I am with you, and I will continue to guide you, provide for you, protect you, and grow you, and what is ahead will be worth every step you took to get here, every tear you cried in secret, every prayer you whispered in the dark, every moment you chose hope when despair felt easier, because this chapter will carry meaning, purpose, and fulfillment, and it will remind you again and again that waiting with me is never wasted, trusting me is never foolish, and believing me is never in vain. And as you keep holding on, I need you to understand something deeper about who you are becoming in this season, because the waiting has not only been about what you receive but about who you become when you receive it, and I have been shaping your heart, stretching your capacity, refining your vision, and aligning your desires so that when the door opens you will be ready to walk through it without fear, without confusion, without sabotaging what I worked so hard to prepare, because there are blessings that cannot be rushed and doors that must open only when your heart is strong enough to carry what is on the other side, and I know there were moments when you felt forgotten, moments when you questioned your worth, moments when you wondered if your obedience even mattered, but every unseen choice you made, every time you chose faith over bitterness, hope over despair, patience over quitting, it mattered more than you realize, because those moments built a foundation that cannot be shaken, and I am telling you now that the strength you think you lack is already inside you. It was formed quietly while you were crying, while you were waiting, while you were praying prayers you thought were weak, but they were not weak to me, they were honest, and honesty moves my heart, because I am not drawn to perfect words, I am drawn to sincere hearts, and you gave me that even when you felt empty, even when you had nothing left but one last breath of faith, and that is why I am so close now, because when you reach the end of yourself, you make room for me to move fully, and this next season will not look like the last one. It will not feel like survival, it will feel like alignment, because what I am bringing will confirm every tear you cried, every night you endured, every time you chose not to quit, and when it begins to unfold you will realize that the silence was not absence but preparation, that the delay was not denial but design, and you will see connections forming, opportunities opening, clarity replacing confusion, peace settling where anxiety once lived, and strength rising where exhaustion once ruled, and I will remind you again and again that you were never behind, never late, never forgotten, because my timing is perfect and my plans do not fail, and I need you to stop rehearsing old disappointments, stop replaying past heartbreaks, stop expecting the future to repeat the pain of yesterday, because I am doing a new thing and it will not come the way you expect. It will arrive quietly at first, like light at dawn, gentle but unstoppable, and before you realize it you will be standing in a place you once prayed for, wondering how you got there, and I will whisper to your heart that you got there because you trusted me when it was hard, because you stayed when it would have been easier to walk away, because you believed even when belief felt costly, and there will be moments ahead where fear tries to rise again, where doubt tries to remind you of how long you waited, but I want you to remember this truth: waiting did not weaken you, it prepared you, it gave you discernment, humility, depth, and compassion. It taught you how to hear my voice in the quiet and recognize my presence when everything else was stripped away, and that skill will guide you for the rest of your life, because there will be future seasons where you need to trust me again. And when that time comes you will look back on this chapter and say, if I made it through that, I can trust him again. And I also want you to know that what I am bringing is not fragile, it will not break easily, it will not slip through your fingers, it will not vanish the moment you relax, because it is built on covenant not emotion, on promise not chance, and even when challenges come you will not face them alone, because I am not giving you a moment, I am giving you a future, not a spark but a flame, not relief but restoration, and you will begin to walk with a quiet confidence, not loud or boastful, but steady, grounded, unshaken, because you know what it took to get here, and you know who carried you through, and your story will speak even when your mouth is silent, because people will see peace where panic once lived, strength where fear once ruled, hope where despair once lingered, and they will ask how you made it, and you will know the answer is not you but me, and that testimony will open doors for others, because your survival was never just about you. Your breakthrough was always meant to overflow, to heal, to inspire, to remind others that waiting is not the end of the story, that silence is not rejection, that delay is not abandonment, and as this new chapter unfolds I want you to stay close to me, not just for what I give but for who I am, because blessings are wonderful but my presence is greater, and the closer you stay the clearer you will see, the steadier you will walk, and the freer you will live, and I promise you this, the tears will not define you anymore, the pain will not control you anymore, the waiting will not haunt you anymore, because you are stepping into a season where the story changes, where the atmosphere shifts, where the weight lifts, and you will finally breathe again, deeply, freely, fully, knowing that what I promised has arrived, and what I began I will finish, because I do not abandon my work and I do not fail my children, and you are mine, completely, eternally, and this is only the beginning.